Hey guys, it's Parzival, I also go by Will, and I am back with another speed paint. This is a speed paint I recorded during February-ish actually, about like the 14th or so, maybe the 15th, and it's fan art that I did for the February 2018 challenge started by Toasty Hat on Tumblr. I figured it was a good chance to draw for some smaller indie work I enjoy. This particular piece of fan art is of Lucian from Dawnbringer, a new webcomic by Rendoodles here on YouTube. I'll link them and Toasty Hat down in the description below. Also, I'm trying out a script for this video, by the way, so we'll see how that goes and if it's faster for me than doing a bunch of takes and stringing them together. One thing that I do know, though, is that reading a script makes me talk faster, so hopefully that won't be too much of a problem and I'll still be audible and understandable. I don't particularly know why reading a script makes me speak faster, but it just kind of always has, so hopefully that won't be a problem. I am also actively trying to speak a little bit slower as well, so I'm hoping I can counteract that before it actually becomes a problem. Anyway, though, I figured I'd use this video to talk about how I'm currently dealing with some art block, since it kind of sort of relates. Now, to specify so that we're all on the same page here, generally when I personally talk about my own art block, it doesn't mean that I stop drawing or that I can't draw. That generally doesn't really happen to me. For me, when I use the term art block, it means I don't really have any inspiration, I don't feel motivated to draw art, and I don't particularly like what I create. Generally, I don't really get to the point of not drawing because I've actually, over the years, cultured a habit of drawing every day. I will always try to draw at least one thing a day, whether that be scribbles or OCs or some sort of studies or some dumb smiley face on the page, even if it's really stupid. And I've been doing that since I was in college, about around 2012, 2013-ish. And after a few years of doing that, it really isn't a problem for me to just draw something every day, but it's a matter of whether I'm happy with the results. So I don't ever really stop drawing, so that's not really what I mean when I talk about art block. I might, in a future video, talk about how those sorts of reasons behind art block affect other artists who do stop drawing and why that happens, but that's a video for another day, and that's also not something that I'm super duper qualified to talk about because I haven't really, had that experience in a long time, so I would be mostly talking about my memories of the subject as opposed to actually talking about my personal experiences. When I'm not happy with the results, it makes me frustrated and even less motivated to continue drawing because I don't like how the previous pieces came out, so I feel like the one I'm going to work on next is going to be bad, which makes me feel even less inclined to draw it, and then I don't put as much effort into it, and it doesn't end up looking as nice, and then it becomes a big cycle. But yes, long explanation short, when I talk about art block, I don't mean that I don't draw, I just mean I don't feel motivated, or I'm bored, or I'm not happy with the art that I'm drawing. I do have a few techniques for trying to get out of this rut, of course. Last week, when I was doing my sketchbook tour, I talked about sequestering bad art into a different, smaller sketchbook, but that didn't really help me for this one because the source of my art block for this is a little bit different. And I already talked about that last video, so for this video, I want to talk about an active technique that I've been doing lately that's been helping me a bit. Something that's not just moving my art to a different sketchbook so I don't have to see it with all the good art. So recently what I've been doing is drawing other people's characters. Drawing characters that belong to my siblings or my friends, or drawing characters in groups that I'm in that just don't belong to me. Personally, I love seeing characters in different styles. I love seeing my characters drawn in other people's styles because I like to see how people see my character and how they would draw them. And that's definitely part of the reason of, helping. But I find personally that drawing characters myself that belong to other people and figuring out how to translate their image into my style while trying to keep the character recognizable is really fun, and it helps me get out of the standard drawing mindset that I'm usually in while I'm, in a position of I've been doing the same thing over and over again and I'm kind of bored with it. It also helps me because I have to think about how I would translate what they're saying about their character and like how they draw, what shapes they're using into my style, and it helps me break things down and explore things that I'm not really used to. It might be colors, it might be shapes, it might be doing something different with hair, or trying to draw a character in a way that keeps their general expression the same while translating it into my style, which maybe looks radically different than theirs. I believe the main reason that this has been working for me lately is due to the source of my art block being based in having done the same thing over and over again. Mostly with my art right now, I feel bored with what I'm doing, probably because I've just been drawing my OCs over and over again and doing studies, which is fine, but it's mostly been body studies, not a lot of object studies or background studies, which I'm going to try and do more of because I'm sure that that'll help get me out of the funk, and variety is the spice of life and all that jazz. But because I've just been doing people constantly, or rather people that I'm familiar with, it results in me being kind of bored after a while. I'm just doing either faceless figures, studies, or my own OCs. And if I'm bored with what I'm doing because it's been the same thing, it results in the lack of motivation and inspiration. And I really don't want to do something that makes me bored. But drawing new characters is something different, and that lets me work with shapes and colors that I'm not used to. It lets me experiment with things because I can try out new stuff without fear of it looking potentially super strange because I'm already drawing something new, so why not try doing a different technique or something, or try different line art or a different shading style. I didn't do any of that with this particular image that I'm drawing on screen right now, but it's a thing that I've definitely done before. And yeah, that's how I'm currently dealing with art block. I might make this into a series in the future if I have other methods for other things. But yeah, that about wraps up this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or contact me on any of my social media, which is also in the description, along with the 2 people I mentioned earlier. If you'd like to support me, I do also have a Patreon where I post my daily sketch dumps, which is accessible for only $1 a month. And, as always guys, thank you so much for your support. Bye!